As you certainly know, we're currently still stuck in the meta is garbage area we fell into pretty much right after Jantir Wilds launched. And getting out from here is going to be a painful, agonizing process that may not even start this coming patch. We will know when the preview drops. It is not out yet as I'm speaking. But it's not all hopeless for the warrior crowd. As the old saying goes, tough times make men hard, or something, and so does hostile meta-enhanced fine-tuning of suboptimal builds. And within this environment, two pieces of breaking news have emerged. First being that the Spellbreaker is still Spellbreaker, so if there are warrior nerfs in the patch preview, you know who to blame. Though no longer can a literal crustacean play this spec and outperform half of the player base. I can quite comfortably say that every Spellbreaker who sent me back to spawn as a Fierl-propelled missile did so because they played better than me, not because the build was better. And that build part is the other breaking news. Hammer Berserker is much more playable than I and many others initially expected, so much so that I managed to meet and greet a fellow troll build enjoyer. If you want to join a merry band of troll build enjoyers, check out Bullshit Brigade's Discord server, and if you like my content, consider supporting me through Patreon to ensure there's always more on the way. But now onto the video. In higher tier lobbies, playability of Hammer Warrior was always stifled by the fact it is consistently counter-playable and majority of its counters are easily upkeepable passives or spammable AoEs. If you even saw us clip an elementalist with fire aura on them, you are passively banned. And if you are being banned, Blinding Ashes will blind you as well. Here goes your CC follow-up. If there's an enemy support guardian, or any guardian for the matter, in the proximity of the fight, they will share enough ages with all of their allies to stop you from effectively functioning. On top of which, to make this build work, you have to opt out of almost every cleansing option in Warrior's arsenal, meaning every condition build in existence counters you as well. And that's on top of stability shutting you down and you being melee and vulnerable entire time you fight, where specs with comparable damage output like Virtuoso, Deadeye, Willbender, Soulbeast have range, pots, Invis, Invul and Cleanse aplenty. Fortunately for Berserker, Arena over a course of last year added few minor nuggets of improvement to its most prominent builds, mainly resistance to Bloody Roar and restorative strength, as well as a little funny item of interest called Staff. Staff has been experimented with before, to mixed results, as a support weapon with not much besides utility doesn't necessarily lend itself to be the most obvious pick for the one-shot build to carry around with. Right? Wrong. Firstly, when you play Berserker, everything does damage, including the humble stick. Honestly, you could grab an Asura by the ankles and slap people with him and still get 4 to 5k crits. Speaking of which, ArenaNet, please, put the cash shop to good use for once. The best possible idea for Mace skin aside, Staff works surprisingly well as a wingman to Berserker's bold and brazen blazing bullshit. Most of Berserker's heavy-hitter skills can be guaranteed landed off of a pool, even from neutral, making the pool itself terrifying to our opponents. But that's nowhere near the full extent of how Staff helps us put the fear of God into everything we lay our sight upon. Mobility is a no-brainer. It always helps in everything, and so does channeled block. Whenever, wherever we are caught off guard, we can, colloquially speaking, skedaddle out of there, or on the other hand, if someone else skedaddles, we can chase after them much more efficiently than we would with maces, for example. And that added 2 seconds of please keep your damage to yourself, sir, is really handy when we have to wait for one or few of our cooldowns. But what people do not realize is just how much of a game changer for a power Berserker the unblockable stacks are. You can give yourself unblockable, pull somebody to you, and confirm the pull with guaranteed fierce blow, from neutral, true block. That essentially spells out fuck Dragon Hunter in all uppercase. Stuff lets you keep your beak unblockable for when you actually need it, and not waste it prematurely just to have a chance of interacting with any schmuck with access to Aegis. And helps you dance around battlefield, sustain and avoid damage every time you have to wait out stability on somebody or several somebodies. That with added bonus of not having to keep target in wpierdlu stasis to deal meaningful damage, letting us finish targets that gain stability after interaction makes a stick a perfect pairing to a stick with a brick on one end. Truly a match made in heaven. So, if anyone asks what keeps me playing this game in a meta as bad as current one, it's the sheer joy of watching the instinctive response to a pull becoming more and more panicked every time I land a combo. Additionally, I have to give Arena some bloody credit. Few more minor improvements to Berserker, and I will no longer be able to use the state of this spec as an excuse to my extraordinarily poor performance and will actually have to face my overbearing skill issue. But still, even now, this build is just strong enough that the few actually good players have to continuously endure my insufferable existence. And last but not least, a big sign of gratitude towards all the generous Patreon supporters continuously considering the coverage of mental tortures I'm inflicting upon the best of the EU server denizens worth paying for. You're all truly welcome. Crabface out.